everyone. I'm going to talk about Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences and how Howard Gardner identified 8 different intelligences to show that there's so much more to someone's ability than just their IQ or their academic ability, and how these multiple intelligences have really impacted instruction, especially differentiated instruction, which has been really useful for different subpopulations. For example, students with disabilities. So Howard Gardner developed his theory of multiple intelligences in 1983. And like many educators, he realized that just looking at a student's IQ is really not a good indicator of their intelligence or their ability. So he spent time researching hard what are different intelligences, the different strengths that a student can have. And at the time, he proposed 7 different intelligences and later on added on an 8th. Howard Gardner stated, intelligence should not be conceived as a unidimensional construct, but a series of 7 independent intelligences which allow individuals to display the transformations and changes of the individual perceptions to recreate aspects of their own experiences. So there's a lot of different ways that someone can show knowledge, to interact with their environment, and to construct knowledge understanding. And he went through and showed some of the different ways through this multiple intelligences theory. So with this theory, he originally identified 7 and later on 1 more are kinesthetic intelligence. These are learners who are really body smart. They're very good with tactile learning and physical reasoning. Our interpersonal intelligence are people who are people smart. They like to connect with other people and understand why they do what they do, really thinking about actions and emotions of others. Our linguistic learners are great with reading, writing, and language to make sense of knowledge and education. Mathematic learners are very logical. They're great with deductive reasoning and thinking about things in terms of numbers. This is later added our naturalistic intelligence, are people who are nature smart. They interact with the world around them and think about nature when they're learning different experiences. Interested learners are self-smart. They're very self-reflective and think about their own emotions and their own thought processes as they're reasoning. Our visual learners are great with visualizing objects, shapes, and understanding the space around them with visuals. And finally, our musical learners are great with learning by reading, performing, playing, and listening to music. So all these different learners show that you can be intelligent and can have abilities in so many different realms. And oftentimes we don't explore or get to see many of these in an education setting, in a school, because so much is focused on typical academics and traditional assessments. So what can we do as far as using this theory is differentiate and look at all of the different ways that we can teach and even assess students. So the theory of multiple intelligence, it takes us beyond the personality as far as their IQ and encourages teachers to really think about strengths of individual students. What is a student naturally endowed with? What are natural abilities? And let's focus on that in classroom instead. So we all know that differentiation, it can be through content, process, or product. And here's some different examples as far as differentiation and how this can relate to multiple intelligences. Many teachers use this idea of choice boards or differentiating by allowing students to kind of choose what is my strength, what am I interested in, Because a lot of times this will increase engagement and also motivate our students to want to complete an activity and do their best, and to even learn through the activity because it's something they're really interested in. So if we can differentiate the product based on what students are, give them different choices for how to really complete the same standards and show the same mastery, but just in different ways that lends toward their individual strengths. So with differentiation, if we're thinking about specifically with students with disabilities, in inclusion or small group, special education classes, there's just this whole other realm to think about as far as accommodations, instructional strategies that can lend towards what the students need. So if we're focusing on the student's strengths, the student abilities rather than disabilities, it allows for so much more of these students as far as their motivation, because we're focused on the whole child. A lot of time with students with disabilities, the focus might be instead on what are we lacking, what do we need to remediate, what are our gaps, and the theory of multiple intelligences allow us to go away from that and think about what is a student good at and what does a student enjoy. So there's so many different options as far as different ways to read a passage, different strategies to use when we're teaching literacy, being able to chunk assignments, getting visual or tactile or auditory examples, showing different models, breaking things up with graphic organizers, checklists, manipulatives, even using technology in so many different ways now. There's so many opportunities there as far as differentiating for these students. And all of this has a really big impact on students with disabilities. We're focused on their strengths and thinking about supporting them in something that they really love. So these different outcomes could be increasing motivation level. So students will want to work on the activity, they'll be excited, they're more likely to learn through the activity because it's something they have to choose or something that's really suited to them and their strengths. It can also increase engagement because the students are finally able to celebrate something they're good at instead of focusing on something remedial. And also increase success. If we're giving students opportunities to work in ways that they are successful with, then we're going to see more opportunities to build academic confidence because the students can celebrate more successes throughout. Whereas in a traditional classroom, they not have these opportunities. The traditional assessment and multiple type of assessments, it seems like you know it or you don't. And there's not a way to show I have all of this other knowledge and all of these other abilities, and I can show you I know different ways. So the theory of multiple intelligences really encourages educators to rethink their instruction and not to just stick with the traditional way of teaching or assessing, but really individualizing it and giving students different opportunities to show what they know in different ways, really focusing on the whole child. There's so many different possibilities with multiple intelligences as far as also improving behavior, social emotional skills, soft skills. There's so many different things that you can address when you're looking at way more than just academics. We're now focused on emotional understanding, being able to communicate in different ways, being able to understand why others respond the way that they do. And this is also huge for students with disabilities, and teaching these type of skills are really vital for post-secondary success in their transition into college careers, the real world. They'll need all of these skills to be successful. I have my references here for you to see and just investigate. There are some really great resources there for differentiation, especially for special education students, and a lot of possibilities there. But ultimately, big takeaway is that the theory of multiple intelligences is a great way to really change instruction from being deficit focused to ability focused and individualizing to students' needs so that they can be successful. Thank you.